This is Echo 3, and let's discuss air-launched rockets. I first became interested in these in the late 90s with the work on SpaceShipOne. I was very excited when, in 2004, the craft and its pilot, Mike Melvin, reached space. Unfortunately, the successor craft, SpaceShipTwo, still is not flying tourists. The Aerospike engine seemed to be the best engine in terms of weight, ISP, and thrust-to-weight ratio for this particular craft. Here, we are constructing the basis of our craft. I'm going to add servos and put them in the cargo bay so they will not be calculated in the drag model. The servos create a lot of drag, and that creates issues with traveling fast enough to reach space. Connected to the servos, we can make a feathering system that will be similar to the one developed by Scaled Composites. The servo is set for 90 degrees of rotation and is bound to the translate up-down keys. This will make it easier to control the system. We can now put our feathering system together. It would be better if I had used fewer parts, but I like the way it looks, and aesthetics plays a big role in the way I like to build my crafts. For those of you that follow my videos, at least a few of you anyway, my time has been very limited. Time to record and edit videos has been even smaller. My day job is farming, and my life is very hectic right now as it's harvest. So I have not had as much time to put into these videos as I would like. I added a couple batteries for extra electrical current so that we won't have any issues during the coasting phase. And I'm adding some extra wing surface area so that we can glide to our target landing zone without any issues. And speaking of landing, we should add some landing gear to this. We don't need to be too specific with it, but I am going to raise them for now, and I'm going to unbind the landing gear from the action group because we're not going to want these connected with our mothership. And there we go, test our system out. It looks pretty good. Once our spaceship is put together, we can start putting together our air launch system. For the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to build our air launch craft around the spaceship. The docking port junior will be how we disconnect the two crafts from each other. Trying to build one craft around another craft is a little tricky. After several attempts, I went with this particular design. The Panther engines are rather fun to use for their ability to thrust vector and switch modes to afterburners. With this particular setup, we'll be able to reach around 800 meters per second and 18,000 meters in altitude before separation. That will be a nice start for our spaceship. Due to the limitations of the stock game, this does not work out to be a very good way to save funds. The carrier craft cannot be flown back to the runway and recovered if we are going to be flying the spaceship. But this is a sandbox save, and we are only concerned with fun, not funds. As I put this together, I'm going to try to focus on the aerodynamics, watching my weight and my center of aerodynamic pressure. Ideally, we're going to not have things shift too much here, and I'm not even going to put crew in these cockpits because we're not going to worry about recovering the aircraft. I know there are mods that aid in stage recovery and stuff like that. This is just a sandbox save, and we're going to have some fun making something similar to the White Knight and the SpaceShipOne. This is kind of a compromise model between the two, as this is only a 2-passenger, 1-pilot model. SpaceShipTwo is supposed to be a 2-pilot, 6-passenger, where the SpaceShipOne was only 1 pilot. So this is a bit of a Kerbalized compromise and holds just 2 passengers. But I think it looks pretty good here, and we can try it out. Well, I'm going to call it Spaceship. Seems like an adequate name for it. And I was really happy with the way this thing looks. Now, I'm using canards, and I found it just helps with the pitch control of the craft. You know, you can do it as you want, how you like to design these. We'll put our practice tourists in and head out to the desert runway, similar to Virgin Galactic that launches their White Knight 2 from the Mojave Desert. We're going to launch at the desert air site here and head up. Flying a craft like this is comparable to flying something like a single stage to orbit spaceplane. I want the air-breathing Panther engines to do as much of the work as possible, so we're going to be gaining as much speed and altitude. We can even take time to enjoy the sights during our ascent. If we look carefully off to the left side of the craft, we can make out some kind of ancient ruins. I wonder what other interesting things there are to find on Kerbin. Do you know of any interesting places on Kerbin or elsewhere in the Kerbal system? If you leave a comment, you can tell us some of the cool things you have discovered. Also, if you'd like to see me travel anywhere in particular in the Kerbal system, you can just ask for that as well. As we start to near our separation point, we're going to have to be very careful. I had a few screw-ups here where I destroyed my spaceship separating from the two crafts. I damaged the wings and, well, it didn't fly very well. But we're going to fire this engine up here and try to reach around 80,000 meters over the surface. And yep, there we go. We're just going to coast. It's amazing, with all the years I've played this game, I still enjoy the views from space. I'm using Astronomer's Visual Pack to make the game look nicer. And I don't know what you guys like to use, but that's what I am currently using. I think I've got Planet Shine and some other visuals. I'm not quite sure what all I've got. Trying to make the game look nice. Here we're using the feathering system to help control our craft. And I'm playing around with it. It's not fully at 90 degrees, but as I... Oh, wow, we're struggling here a little bit. But it was able to really help control the craft as we came in for the landing, and I could control how much drag and lift that I was using. This seems to be a pretty good practical system to use. I can see why Scaled Composites went with a design like this to aid in their landing. At one point, they even lost some of their controls, and were still able to have a safe landing due to this whole feathering system. At one point, I think they even re-entered the atmosphere upside down or something. All right. Hey, we touched down. We look safe. What a successful flight. Hey, thanks for joining me.